Hey guys, thank you so much for turning up today. I know it's the last minute that we've said, Vinh will do a session here. But thank you so much for turning up on a Saturday morning when you guys can pretty much sleep in. I won't say too much because I don't want to take up too much of Vinh's time, so I'll let him head straight on to the session. Welcome, Vinh. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Brilliant. Thank you so much for being here today. Last minute, Tay asked me, Tay Phong, which is Phong's dad, him and I are bros. But basically, the reason I'm here is I really love our Vietnamese community. I'm very proud to be Vietnamese, and I want to be able to give back to the Vietnamese youth. Simply because growing up, there were a lot of challenges that I faced, and I think being where I am now, I want to be able to share some of those insights with the youth, and hopefully it will help you in your life. And Tay, and also Tu, who's the organizer of this event, she, and obviously Phong as well, gave me a list of questions for me to be able to kind of ponder about and share with you my thoughts on. So the first one, if we jump straight into it, is when did you know that the 9 to 5 job wasn't for you? And I kind of have to begin from the beginning for all of you. So let me give you context, right? So in my life, that's me and my mum and my dad. I was born in 1986. Mum and dad were refugees from Vietnam in 1981. And I show you this picture because I somehow believe that from the day I was born, I was destined to be an entrepreneur. Because my mum and dad started their own businesses, they had their own farms. So since I was young, I feel like the environment I was in, I was destined to be an entrepreneur. That's also the cutest photo of me I could find, followed by this one. But I again show you this as well because my family means everything to me. And they taught me all the skills I needed for my first entrepreneurial venture. So the first thing I did in my life was I sold MP3 players when I was 13 years old. And I found pictures of the MP3 players I sold. These were the very things I sold. I bought them from China, and then I sold them to my friends at school. And it was crazy because this then led me to opening my own store. This is me and a Tun, who was a friend of mine back in the day, and this is our store in Newton Shopping Centre. So welcome, guys, come in. And in Newton Shopping Centre, we opened a store. We went to China when I was 18 years old. When I was 18, we bought $30,000 worth of electronics from China, shipped them to Australia, started a store in Newton, and we called the store Something Unique. It's the worst business name in the world because something didn't have a G on it. It was just something. But this was the thing. We sold game accessories for the Wii. We sold MP3 players. We sold little heart chains. We sold mobile phones. We even had watch phones that were cameras. If you have a look, it's a watch, it's a camera, it's an MP3 player. They were the dodgiest things you've ever seen in your life. There was no warranty. You could buy them from us, but if they don't work, we don't give your money back. I didn't understand the return policy. OCBA, just to quickly give you context on me as well, which is the Australian Board of Consumer Affairs, came to my store that I had in Newton and said, what you're selling is illegal. And they said that literally, Vinh, the phones you're selling are not CE approved. It could explode in people's faces. So obviously I spent my mum and dad's $30,000, which was a life savings. So I couldn't really care less about anything that they told me. So I had to close down my store, and then I went to the Sunday markets to sell all the products that I had. And do you know Jeps Cross? Everyone know where Jeps Cross Sunday Market is? I used to make, on the weekends there, about $7,000 every Sunday. It was unreal. And I was selling these, and the farmers used to buy them. And though they dressed very, not very rich, they had so much cash in their pockets. So we sold them TV phones because they'd work on the farm, and then they wanted to watch TV at the same time. So we had TV phones. We had the lot. And first I started with my car, which was a small car. And we sold so many at the Sunday market that we gradually needed a van. And these are very old photos. I couldn't find any more photos. But we ended up making so much money at the Sunday market that's when I decided I no longer wanted to live the 9 to 5. I no longer wanted to become an accountant because I was destined to become an accountant because that's what I went to university for. And I'll share this story with you because I don't normally share this story, but it was my final year in accounting. And my final year in accounting, I had to do a work experience placement. And I remember the owner of the firm was an old guy. His name was Colin. And I used to perform magic, because I do magic, I'm a magician. But I used to do magic at the end of my work experience. And every day after work, I would do magic for the accountants. And then one day, Colin, the partner, he comes out. And he says, Vin, in 6 months' time, 2 things will happen. I'm going to fire you, or you'll quit. And I asked him, why? I mean, I'm not bad as an accountant. Why wouldn't you give me this full-time position? And he said to me, Vin, this is not the career for you. You're in the wrong career path. And I remember he showed me his hands. He pulled out his hands and he showed me and he said, and his hands were slightly bent. And he said, Vin, I have arthritis. I love piano. I love playing piano. But I gave up piano when I was about 29 to build this accounting firm. And Vin, now I have every materialistic thing you could think of. I have a beautiful home on the beach. I have a nice Mercedes. I have a beautiful watch collection. But none of that means anything. Because if I could trade you, I'd trade you everything that I own for your youth to do my time again. Because for the last 35 years of my life, I've never been able to do the thing I love because I've built this. And now, with the arthritis, I can never do it again. So he shared with me a wonderful lesson that life isn't just about making money. Life isn't just about doing what everybody else says you should do. Life is about doing what you need to do. Life is about amplifying your gifts and talents. And what's crazy is I remember telling him, can you come home and talk to my mum and dad? Because they're going to be pissed off. And he did. I remember when Colin came back to my family to have dinner with my family, and I don't normally share this story, but it was through that conversation with my parents that my mum and dad knew that they were blinded by love. They loved me so much, and because they've been through a war, because they've been through so much danger, that they valued security over happiness, that they valued certainty over adventure. And that's when my parents began to support me, to change their way of thinking, that I'm not here to have you live a life that is mundane and boring. That mum and dad, and they said this to me, they said, Mum and Dad we risked our lives so you could have an adventure in this life, so you could be happy, not so you could do something that is monotonous, that you weren't born to do. And I tell you the backstory of this because it wasn't simple as a simple moment that made me discover that I didn't want to do the 9 to 5. It was the gradual process of my journey in life that made me realize it's not about 9 to 5, it's not about entrepreneurship, it's just about you doing what you were born to do. I think it's too easy in our life to be channeled in one box and think we all have to follow this one path, there's only one way to say. There's no, look here, right, we've got 15 people. There's 15 different ways for you to succeed. And the way that I share is just my way. I'm not saying this is your way. I'm saying that you should have the freedom to find your way. I don't know how much of you know me and know what I do, but I live in America now, in California, and I speak to a lot of large companies over there. I see so many sad adults. So many sad adults. People who, in their 30s, 40s, 50s, who don't love their life. And when they don't love their life, you're not the best husband to your wife, you're not the best wife to your husband when you come home, you're not the best dad, you're not the best mum. So I began to realize that the question that Tu asked, when did I realize 9 to 5, there's a much deeper answer to that. It's not, when did I realize it wasn't for me, to make it seem as if 9 to 5 isn't right. 9 to 5 wasn't right for me, but it might be right for you. But just know that I encourage all of you to find what's right for you and to go on that journey and allow yourself to explore. Give yourself the freedom to explore. You know, I meet a lot of Vietnamese people in America, and what I realize is they've only ever done 5 jobs in their life. 5. And they've decided to commit the rest of their lives to one of those career paths. And I love this analogy, and I hope you can appreciate this, is that how do you know what your favorite food is if you've only ever tried 5 types of food? The more types of food you try, the more likely you are to find the food that you love. Do you know what my favorite food is? It's called bak kut teh from Malaysia. It's a traditional Malaysian dish. And if I didn't try different types of foods in my life, I would never have discovered my favorite type of food, which is from Malaysia, from a town called Malacca. So my friends, take that analogy with food and use it for life. You've got to try as many different things as you can in life for you to discover what you're supposed to do with your life. Does that make sense? Brilliant, good. Now, you see, the next question she asked, what she said, and please feel free, if you've got any questions, yell out. I want to be able to answer them if I can. But the next one she says was it a smooth transition from your hobby to your dream career? And the answer is, I'm sorry for the anticipation, but no, it absolutely wasn't. I'm a speaker now, so I travel and I speak. I share lessons with people using magic. And I know this is very confusing, so I'll give you a demonstration in a moment. But when I first started wanting to be a speaker, people thought it was a joke. People said, you're a university dropout. You didn't finish university. Your TER when you left university, the first time I did year 12, I got a 46 out of 100, 46%. Yay. So I did year 13, and the second time I did it, I got 86, but then because I went to a bonus school, they gave me like 12 bonus points, so it made me look really smart. It's like 98 TER. But I never finished university, and when I wanted to speak, no one took me seriously. I tried to find the emails, but I couldn't find them this morning. I didn't have enough time. But I literally had company people say that, Vin, you're a magician. We are a business. No, thank you. And I think the reason why Tool asked me this question is I think a lot of the times it can seem as if success is so easy. It can seem as if succeeding is something that happens overnight, and it's not real. It's nonsense. Success is a series of failures, and the point I want to talk to you about in our community, I believe, in our Vietnamese community, I think we look at failure as something that is really bad. And we often look at failure as something that's being so bad that we make our children scared of failing. But to me, failing is how we learn. If there's one thing I'm really good at, I'm really good at failing. I'm really good at not doing well. But success teaches you a lot less in life. And failure teaches you a lot more. And I talk about this again because I hope that I have a son now. I want to change my mindset. And I want to change it to, I want him to fail as often as he can, as early as he can, and as frequently as he can. It was my parents giving me the freedom to fail that has allowed me to end up where I am now. And my friends, especially to the younger kids, and thank you for being here. I know how hard it is to listen to a person speak for an hour, how boring I am. But please hear me, because how often you fail is going to dictate how successful you become. Don't be afraid of it. Failure it's a part of the journey, and you have to embrace it. The more you fail, the better you get. Okay, so please understand that. And I can think of one particular failure in mind. When I was 25, my mum and dad gave me the security to their home to allow me to take a $500,000 loan. And within about a year and a half, I'd lost the majority of it trying to build this online business. I tried to build an online business to teach magic tricks. So in my mid-20s, I was about $500,000 in debt, had this investment property, couldn't afford to pay it off. My friends came and lived with me so they could pay me rent just so I could pay for the mortgage. And I remember at the time our office was in the garage, we made no money, I had to work in a takeaway store. But I just want you to know that no matter what you want to do, if you're prepared to fail often and fail frequently, you can win. And we have to change that mindset in our community. Failure is good. I've never met a successful person who hasn't failed. If you meet a successful person who hasn't failed, they're probably lying. I'm serious. So I hope that makes sense as well. And I want to show you this one because I really like this one. I really love this question. And I think a lot of young people do suffer from this, is how do I, if I don't know what I'm good at or what my passion is, how am I supposed to do what I'm passionate about? So how did you discover your passion? How do you discover your passion? There's a really good book. There's a really good book that answers this question. Oh, sorry. This book. Please, if you don't know what you want to do when you grow up, if you have no idea what you want to do, this book will save you. This book by Cal Newport, So Good They Can't Ignore You, will help you discover what you're going to do when you grow up. And let me give you a synopsis of it. So Cal Newport, when he says, be so good they can't ignore you, what's he talking about? He's talking about mastery. Now, passion, does everyone know what I mean by passion? Yes, you do. Passion is something that isn't there for no reason. Passion isn't something that exists automatically. Passion is a byproduct of you being really good at something. When you get really good at something, people say, wow, you're so good at this. And when people say that, you feel passion. You feel passionate about it. And most of the time, people don't do a craft, people don't work on a hobby long enough to get good at it, to develop passion. My friends, when you get really good at something, passion comes from mastery. And it's something that most people don't understand. Most people think passion is something that I either have or I don't. Not true. Passion is something that is developed through mastery. And you have to get very good at something before you have passion. And that book, please, make sure you read that. But look, I do want to make this as interactive as possible. So do you have any questions for me so far before I go to the next one? And please ask me a question, otherwise it's painfully awkward for me. Yeah.
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
How old were you when you found your way, or to speak?
How old was I?
Yes.
I think about 25, 26, yeah. There's a great saying in America. I made some African-American friends, and they're so cool. And they said to me, Vin, it doesn't get good till you get grown, right? It doesn't get good until you get grown. And what he means when he says that, my friend Marcus, is he means life doesn't get good until you get older. People tend to think life is going to be great when you're 15. Life's going to be great when you're 20. No, life doesn't get good until you get older. It takes time, experience, and hard work to build a good life. And again, I think there's a misconception that most 25-year-olds or 30-year-olds have this misconception in their mind that I need to have made it already. I should be a millionaire by now. That's ridiculous. No, you shouldn't be. You should still be trying to work out what you're doing. And everyone's in a rush. Everyone's in a rush. Everyone wants to achieve things so quickly, but that's not how you sustain success or wealth. We should learn how to respect slow wealth and slow success. No one can take slow wealth away from you. No one can take slow success away from you. But if you become successful really fast, or if you become rich really fast, people can take that money away from you overnight. But to me, again, so it wasn't until I was about 25 that I started to know what I truly wanted. So again, I encourage you all to not always think I have to do things quickly. The slower you do it, the more stable it is, the more powerful it is. It's a good question, thank you. Thanks for breaking that awkwardness. Thank you. But you see, the next one is, how do I celebrate being Vietnamese in my career? I share my family story at the beginning of every single talk that I do around the world. I tell every single audience that I speak to the story of my mum and dad's journey from Vietnam, so that the world knows the tenacity that the Vietnamese people have, the strength that the Vietnamese people have. I'm very proud of our heritage, and I do it through sharing the story of my family. And you should see people. Before people hear our story, people often think, sometimes people think negatively of our community. But the moment they hear our story, it changes the way they think of us. And to me, I'm so inspired by my parents, so I share their story everywhere I go. So I think that's kind of that there. But I thought this was really, really interesting. Tu asked me, she said, Vin, do you have any identity issues being Australian, Vietnamese, and now living in the US? I don't. I think I'm lucky in that I don't feel lost in terms of identity. However, when I was young, I didn't like who I was. So again, a lot of you don't know this about me, but I thought I'd be vulnerable and share it. This is, sorry, let me just go back. I've got a picture here. Let me just get this picture up for you. It's, maybe I forgot to bring it through. I think it's here. Here. So this picture here, that's my birth certificate, okay? Now, I show you this for a reason. When I was born, my mum and dad named me Quang, Wang in Vietnamese, okay? That was my name up until I was about 12, 13 years old. When I was young, being Quang, I didn't like Quang. I was a kid that was bullied. I was a kid that was outcasted a lot because I wasn't smart. I didn't get A's in school, so I wasn't treated as a successful and smart kid. And I had self-confidence, but it wasn't great. I didn't like who I was. I really didn't like myself. So when I turned 12, I decided that instead of taking Quang as a name, I was going to change my name to Vinh. And Vinh is my middle name. And I tell you this because when I changed my name to Vinh when I went to high school, I got an opportunity to change who I was. I gave myself the freedom to change who I was, to be someone else. I didn't want to be the loser anymore. I didn't want to be the kid that continually got bullied around. I wanted to be someone new. I actually switched my name. And a lot of people don't know that about me. And I did this because I did have an identity crisis. But it wasn't to do with race or culture. It was to do with I didn't like who I was. I didn't like who I was. And I think a lot of us forget that we change. We think that, oh, I don't like who I am right now, I'm going to be this person for the rest of my life. No. You're just going to be that person for today if you decide. You can change tomorrow. You can be who you want to be. You can be anyone you want to be. You don't have to be how other people perceive you to be. And I tell you this, when I was in high school, right, I really wanted to be funny. Because the funny kids got attention. And I remember every time I tried to be funny, the kids in school would be like, Vin, why are you trying to be like Lenny? You're not funny. And it's interesting because then I stopped trying. And what I tell you this is because friends, people we spend time with, they have a mold for us. This is how you should be. And when you act outside of that mold, it scares them. It scares them. And what happens is they push you back into that mold. Hey, you shouldn't do that. That doesn't seem like you. You wouldn't do that. Don't do that. What are you doing? That's weird. And when they say that, it stops you from trying new things. Not only did I change my name, but I moved schools a total of 4 times. And every time I moved schools, it's because I was a naughty kid, but every time I moved schools, I had a new opportunity to become someone else. I had an opportunity to reinvent myself because nobody knew who I was. Nobody knew who I was. I got to try to be someone else. And again, I share with you this story. Why? Because my friends, no matter where you are in life right now, you can continually evolve and continually change who you become in the future. You can literally change that. If you don't like certain aspects of life right now, if you don't like who you're being right now, you can change. You can. What makes a book great, right? I bought a box of about 50 books. My best friend, one of my best friends in my life, his name is Matthew Mihilovich. He's written an amazing book. I bought a box of 50 for you all, so if anyone wants a book, please feel free to take one. And one thing Matthew writes about, if you want to change the people you're spending time with. There's a great line, I use it every time I talk, you're the direct reflection of the top 5 people you spend time with. You are the 5 people you spend time with. And if you don't like who you are right now, change the people you're spending time with, especially when you're young. When you're young, your friends shape who you are. Your friends shape who you become. When you're young and you're in high school, you leave the comfort and environment of mum and dad, and your friends raise you. You have to pick your friends, and you've got to pick them very carefully. So I hope that adds value. And please, yes, hi. What's your name again, sorry? Joel. Nice to meet you, Joel.
I understand your message about like changing yourself.
Yes.
And like reinvent yourself to be a better of yourself. But there's also something that you teach kids about self-esteem, how to be yourself. And because if you don't like yourself and you can reinvent yourself to a better one of you, that's great. But what if you follow someone else and not be yourself to the truth of you? How would you?
Well, I think no one truly knows who they are. How can any of us say we know 100% who we're going to become in the future? The future is uncertain, right? But I think we have to follow something. Okay, so a chef. When you become a chef that cooks, how does a chef become a great chef? You have to borrow recipes from other great chefs. So you copy other chefs. And then while you cook their food, you get a feeling of whether you enjoyed it or not, right? You know, a chef, like you copy someone else's recipe. So in my life, Joel, I copied a lot of people to find out who I liked the most and who felt right with me the most. Does that make sense? So it's not about, I think if you had to sit down by yourself to work out who you are by yourself, it's a very difficult journey and long journey. But what I did was, through emulation, through copying, many of my mentors, I met them, I studied them, and I tried them. And I'll show you a story later. So I always wanted David Copperfield as a mentor. I met him 4 months ago, spent 6 hours with him. I really don't like him. And I'll tell you why. Because I thought I wanted to be like him. And then I met him and I thought, it doesn't feel right because all you care about is money. That's all you care about. I don't want you to be my mentor. But there are times when we need to try to be like that person, just to try it. And out of the 10 things about that person, we might only like 3. Then just take the 3. You don't have to become that person 100%. But that took a long time for me to learn. Because I thought if I wanted to be like a mentor, I have to be 100% like them. No, I don't. I can just be 30% like them, 20% like this person, and 10% like the other person. I can choose. Does that make sense? But your question, I feel like maybe I'm not connecting with you. Your question is, can you clarify it for me so I make sure I answer it properly? Can you clarify it for me? Because I feel like I'm missing the mark.
Your message, just for someone my age, I understand and I know who I am, what I want in life. But for a younger person, if they don't know who you are, who they are,
yeah,
and they can copy someone else, and what if that person is someone that not good for them, not a good role model?
Yeah. Right, okay.
If you've been awkward or you've been like a nerve at school and you don't feel good about yourself, but you have to teach them that you can be yourself and be happy.
Right,
But
that's right.
I understand about the self-development and everything that you said, and I agree with what you said.
Yeah.
It's just that,
Gotcha.
just to clarify with people how to be confident and be
Yeah.
yourself. Yes.
Okay, I know what you're saying.
Really badly. Yeah, really badly. I'm still learning. I'm still learning. I work a lot. I love that picture. I love a lot. I work a lot. In English, they have a line. They say workaholic. I used to work 7 days a week. I would work from 7 in the morning till 7 at night, 10 at night.
I didn't care. Why? Because growing up, my family didn't have money. We were poor. So growing up, I learned to value money more than anything else. I didn't care about anything else. All I cared about was I had to make a lot of money. And that made me sacrifice time with my wife, time with my family. That's not worth it. It's just not worth it. We don't need a Mercedes. We don't need beautiful things. We don't need that. We can live comfortably. And realizing that I'm happy to have less money, but more time with my family, I'm only getting better at that now. Only now. For the last 10 years of my life, I thought it was all about working. I thought it was all about making as much money as I can, buy a gold watch, and then my friends would be like, wow, you're so cool. It's stupid. It's a waste of time. I don't care about impressing any of you. I don't want to impress any of you. It's not of my concern. But I have a son. I want to impress him by being the best dad I can be and make sure that I'm around. The hardest thing for, I think, Vietnamese children was when we were young, mum and dad had to work so much that they were really there. I wake up, my dad's gone to work. I go to sleep, my dad comes home after. I didn't see my dad a lot growing up. I was a troubled kid, so my mum took the sacrifice to not work, to stay home, which meant my family had less money. But she helped me build a bright future. I was a really, really naughty child. I'm very scared my son is going to be naughty like me. But look, I think this question is one that I hope you all will learn in your own time as well. I'm sure you know this. I've just learned this now, that time with family is way more important than time with money. That's not much to share there. I just thought I'd let you know that I'm really bad at that. So, look, this one I loved. What were the hurdles that you went through? Meaning, what were the lessons that you've learned to get to where you are, right? So I picked three. The first one is being Asian. Yes, was a hurdle. Going into the United States of America, wanting to become a speaker, to speak to all of their large companies was a challenge. Because in America, the speaker doesn't look like this. A speaker looks like an old white man with white hair. Yes, I'm not old, but I have white hair. But the thing is, I skipped that one. No, sorry. Oh gosh, this is excruciating. Wrong button. There you go. So the problem with it was the barriers is that two barriers. One, corporate America and the world, whether you're in Australia or America, they don't view Asian people as leaders. They don't. I speak at hundreds of companies a year, right? Every company I go to, the leaders are always Caucasian males. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that there's no equality there. And what I find is, in our community of talent, in our community of people, there are so many incredible Asian leaders, but they never get the leadership positions. And there's two reasons why. The first one is because we don't step up. We don't go for them. We always like to be behind the scenes. I'll just do the work in the back. We don't like to step up and lead. But to me, Asian people have so much to offer this world. Do you know the Western people look at Asian people and wish that they had family values like the family values we all have so deeply? They look at the connection between brothers and sisters and they wish that they had the same connections. My friends, there's a lot of lessons beyond our work that we could share with the world if Asian people stepped up more. But there's two reasons why there's not that many Asian leaders in the world. The first one is because we don't step up. But the second one is because the corporate world has a stereotype. They look at Asian people as people who cannot communicate effectively. People who don't talk well. But that's again, we have to think. We can blame them and say, you should give us opportunities, or we can rise to the occasion. We can improve our ability to communicate more effectively. To the parents in the room, one of the most important skills in life for children is their ability to speak. Of course, math is very important. Technical skill is very important. But the ability to speak your mind with clarity. I can tell you how I feel with clarity. That is so important. Because one of the reasons why Asians don't become leaders and why there are not more Asian leaders in the world is because we cannot communicate effectively. And I think that communication process starts at home. It starts at home. And the better we get at communication at home, the more we create an environment for our children to flourish as they grow. So again, one of the biggest challenges was the Asian culture and the Asian upbringing. I was scared to speak out, but now I speak too much. Yeah. So look, the second hurdle was being bullied. So as a kid, I was bullied a lot. I was a really fat kid, still kind of fat now, but it was funny because when I was young, the bullies stopped me from becoming who I wanted to be. The bullies didn't like anyone that was different. The moment you're different, they put you back in your shell. So that was a hurdle I had to get past. I had to learn to be confident enough in myself to stand up to these people. I really did. And I think that is not an easy task for a kid that is 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, 25. Standing up to a bully is not easy. I think it's one of the most difficult things in the world. And it's not about standing up to bullies with physical force. It's about understanding that what the bullies, their opinions of you has nothing to do with you. And it's truly understanding that. Because seriously, again, what people think of you, you have to get this. What you think of you is way more important than what other people think of you. And here's the catch. Most people don't think about you as much as you think they think about you. Why? Because they're thinking about themselves. So we have to care less about what these bullies in life continually do. And there are bullies in all shapes and sizes. I'm not just talking about bullies in school. There are bullies as adults. I saw my mum and dad have bullies. I see bullies now in their lives who try to control them, who try to say bad. I see it now. But my friends, you have to remember that let their words fall on deaf ears. Don't listen to them. They can. So my mum taught me this. And g'day. My mum taught me this, right? So I love it. If someone gives you a present, if someone gave you a present, right, and you did not want it, who does that present belong to? Me, right? If I tried to give her a present, she didn't want it, that present belongs to me, right? There are lots of people in life who are going to try to give you the gift of negativity, right? But if you don't want that negativity, who does the negativity belong to? Belongs to the person. So my friends, all in your life, there's going to be so many people trying to give you the gift of negativity. Don't take it. It's a choice. Don't take it home and give it to your family. People at school used to give me a gift of negativity. I used to take it, go home, and then make my family feel bad. I used to come home angry at my mum and my dad because the bullies at school, but no. Let the bully take that home to his or her family. They can have it for dessert. But it's a mindset thing. No matter where we go in life, no matter how young or old we are in this room, there's a bully. We all have bullies in our lives. But don't let them give you the gift. Don't take it home to your family. Hear it, let it go. Just let it go. And a great story my dad tells me is he says there's a story about two monks, okay? And there was a river, and the monks were going to get across the river. And there was a lady that came across and she wanted to get across, but she was wearing this beautiful dress. And then she says to the monk, she goes, "Can you carry me across?" And one monk says, "Well, no, I can't. I can't touch women. I can't do this." But the other monk says, "Well, just get on. It's all right, just get on." So she jumped on, and he walked across the water, and he put her down. And then later, the two monks are walking down the river, and the other monk says, "Why did you do that? We're not allowed to touch women like that. You were holding her bottom, carrying her across. That's wrong." And he goes, "Why did you carry her? Why did you carry her across the river?" And then the monk, this one over here, he goes, "The only one that's still carrying the lady is you. Not me. I already put her down. You're still carrying her." The number of us in life that carry negativity with us that's given from other people is toxic. My friends, learn to let it go. They say something, at the beginning you feel really angry, let it go. Learn to let it go. Because what they say, it's not true anyway. So why do we need to get angry? Because what they're saying is not even true. So I had to learn this as a kid, that everything these other kids said about me wasn't true. Wasn't true. So I just learned to let it go. And I think that's a very important quality in life, is to let go. I think that's very important. And the last one, I thought, I'm academically challenged, which is a nice way to say I'm dumb. And what I mean by that is I was never good in school. I always got F's, C's, D's. In year 8 I did pretty good, I got some A's. But then as the work started to get harder and I started to fail a lot. And at the time, I remember my parents panicking. Because, in our community, if you don't get all A's, then something's wrong. So they loaned money, they hired tutors for me to come to the house, they paid money they didn't have, and the more money they put into me, the more guilt I felt, because I was still not smart enough to be like the other kids. And I never blamed my parents for any of this. I love them with all my heart. And what I realized as I grew up is that my mum and dad are just human beings. They're just people like you and I. They make mistakes like you and I. And what I realized at the time when I was young is sometimes parents will compare children. We gloat about our children. Oh, my child, 9 A's. I got maybe 5 B's and 4 C's, 1 A. I was never celebrated. The hardest thing growing up was that I always felt like a loser. The academic system combined with the cultural pressures of having to do so well crushed my self-confidence. And if it wasn't for my mum and dad coming around and saying to me that there's more ways to succeed than just through school, I would not be here. Because the education system has already determined me as being a failure. And the community has always looked at me as already being a failure. I had a girlfriend when I was younger. Her parents hated me because I was stupid, because I didn't get A's. And to me, please don't judge someone by their academic ability. There's more than one way to succeed in this life. We live in Australia, this is heaven on earth. You can create a career in any area you desire. We live in a world now where you can genuinely do anything. And don't be so afraid. Because here's the thing. Do you know the 1 A that I did get? I always got an A. Do you know in what class? It was in drama. I loved speaking. I loved performing. But an A in that area was never something my parents ever focused on. Because what do we focus on? The C's, the D's, the B's. But what we're doing there is we're focusing on our children's weaknesses, and we're not focusing on their strengths. And my mum and dad told me this. My mum and dad said, every single child has a diamond in them. And mum and dad's job is to help you dig for that diamond. We're not here to determine what that diamond will be. My dad gave me advice with my son now. He goes, we understand now. We've made mistakes, but we understand now. It's not about us trying to cut a diamond into you. It's about us helping you discover your diamond. And if you listen close enough, and if you watch intently enough, you'll see the talents within each child shine. Don't let your fears overshadow that. There's a great line by a philosopher named Carl Jung, and he said, a child's greatest burden is to live out the parents' unfulfilled dreams. And what that means is, for those of you who don't really understand that, is the worst thing for a child to have to go through is to be in their life what their mum and dad couldn't be. But their job in life is not to live out your dreams. Their job in their life is to live out their dreams. But that was a very big hurdle for me. And I'm grateful that my parents gradually understood. But it took work, man. It took so much communication. It took so many nights sitting there with them, arguing, crying, but not arguing in hate, conversing with love. And through those hardships, my parents and I are now closer than ever. And it's one of the relationships I value the most in my life. And again, I encourage you to pursue that. Yeah. So that's the next one. Are there any questions before I jump into the next one? Sorry, it's quite nauseating keeping it one way. If there's something you'd like to ask, I'd love to share. Anything? Okay, I'll go to the next one. Cool. Now, so I speak quite often. So Tool said, before you speak, what do you do when you go on stage? So just like this morning, before I speak, all I'm doing is I literally think this in my head. I literally think there's one person in this room today that I could fundamentally change their lives. Just one. Not all of you, just one. And my job is to change that person's life to the best of my ability. I'm not going to hold anything back. I'm not going to think about me. I'm not going to care about how I sound, how I look. All I'm going to think about is you and how I can serve you best. And I get myself into that mindset. And I literally think like this. This is a bit crazy, but this is just who I am. I think there's one person that needs to hear my message in this room. And if I don't tell it well enough, that person is going to die. It's very dramatic. But I literally think that so that it brings the best of me to the table. And it just helps me think about you, less thinking about me. Otherwise, if I think about me, I get nervous. If I start thinking about, oh, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? I get nervous. But the moment I think about you, I don't think about me anymore because there's no room left, right? So when you're about to speak to any audience, stop thinking about you. Who cares how your dress looks? Who cares how your pants looks? Just think about the audience and be there for them wholeheartedly. And then you'll forget to be nervous because you'll be thinking about the people you're about to speak to. Okay, so look, I think the last thing I'll say before, if you have any questions, please think of them. I'd love to share. The last one is, what's the most powerful lesson I've learned in my life? Is that by myself, I'm no one. On my own, I'm no one. But together with other people, I can become someone great. And I share this with you because my whole life, there's one lesson that I understand deeply. Find teachers. Not teachers at school. You've already got them. Find teachers in life to help you become the person you want to be. Stop relying just on yourself to becoming who you're going to be. Okay, give you an example. So in California, I run a video company called Luminary. And a lot of people who run businesses never find teachers to teach them how to run their business better. So I wanted to find a teacher from the world of video. And this gentleman name is Brian Grazer. He's one of the largest producers in the world. Okay, if you don't know who Brian is, he made those movies. He's the producer. So I wanted Brian as a teacher. But I'm just a guy from Salisbury, right? Salisbury, the ghetto, right? From a place where people say, oh, it's so poor, you live in Salisbury? Oh, that's horrible. But I'm from Parafield Gardens, I'm from Salisbury. But I wanted him as my teacher. But this is the power when you have self-confidence. Right? When you know who you are, you work on your ability to communicate. 2 years ago, I was able to spend a full day with Brian. I flew to Los Angeles, I spent a whole day with him. And we built so much rapport that he was willing to mentor us for that day. And I'll share with you. This is a quick interview I did with Brian, and I'll share this with you and I'll tell you why after. Oh, can we turn that up? Can we turn that up by any chance too? Or? And if we can't, that's okay, I can... Yeah. Oh, the sound's coming from up there. That's okay. If it doesn't work, that's fine. That's fine. We just leave it. That's okay. Anyway, so after this conversation with Brian in the morning, he spent a whole day mentoring me and my team. So our business was okay, but after talking to him, learning from him, we doubled, tripled, quadrupled our business. My friends, no matter where you are in life, think, are you doing all of everything by yourself? Or do you have a teacher? You have to find teachers. Don't try to do everything by yourself. Because if you continually rely on yourself, nothing changes. Life stays the same. We need to find teachers, no matter how young or how old we are. The brain is an amazing thing. Continually learn. And I'll share with you, I've done this multiple times. So, this is the lady who sings in Phantom of the Opera. I now teach people how to use their voice. I believe it's one of the most important qualities in the world. I emailed her. Do you all know the Phantom of the Opera? It's the longest successful running theatre show. I love theatre, okay? Longest successful running theatre show. I sent her an email at least 50 times, not even kidding. She finally agrees to meet with me. Sandra Joseph, the leading actress for 12 years for Phantom of the Opera, because she has the most beautiful voice I've ever heard in my life. And I wanted to learn from her. So I emailed her at least 50 times. She finally agreed. I paid her money because I respected her time. And I spent 4 days with her in New York in her voice studio to learn how to use my voice better. Why? Because your voice is who you are. You're making so many assumptions about me based on my voice right now. So many. Just imagine for a second. Imagine I was speaking like this. What would you think of me now if I spoke like this? You'd think I'm very shy. You'd probably get bored and not listen to me. You might be bored anyway. But that's the thing. Voice is very, very powerful. So again, teachers. And I do this over, and I'm going to show you a reason for this is because then the next person, I wanted to learn more about life. And this gentleman is one of, does everyone know Siri on your phone? He created Siri. He sold Siri to Apple for $450 million. He just created another app called Viv, which is the Android version of Siri, and he just sold that to Samsung for $1.4 billion. And the reason I wanted him as a teacher is because Apple offered him $600 million to stay at Apple. They were going to buy him a mansion 15 minutes away from Apple. He said no. He said no. Because he didn't value money. Didn't value money at all. And this is the time when he didn't have a lot of money yet, before he sold Siri. And he said no. And when I read his story, I was so inspired how any human being can say no to 600 million, because I would have said yes twice. Right? So I wanted to learn from him, because I didn't want to become the person I knew I was going to become. And that person was going to be a person, again, who values money more than friends, more than love, more than family. So I spent time with him. I found him as a teacher, and I seeked him out. And I'm telling you this because no matter who you want as a teacher, you can have them, but you have to learn one fundamental lesson. Don't just ask them for their time. And again, my dad gave me this piece of insight. My dad said to me, "How old is Adam?" And I was like, "Okay, Adam right now is in his mid to late 50s. My dad goes, "Good. So how many days does Adam have left to live?" The average number of days people live, 83. Then he said to me, "Okay, so he's got about, holy crap, Dad, he's got less than 30 years left to live. We should tell him." And then my dad says, "Well, son, if he's got 30 years left, let's say he's lucky, why would he want to spend just one of those days with you though? He'd rather spend it with his family. He doesn't want to spend it with you. You have to earn his time." Again, like we need to earn the love from our family. If you want time from these people, what are you doing to earn their time? You have to think about how you're going to earn that. And a lot of the times when we want a mentor, we just send an email. "Hey, can you mentor me?" It's not that simple. You will never find great teachers that way. Never. Never. If you want to find a great teacher, what will you do for their life? You have to give to them first before they'll give to you. You've got to give first. And that's the lesson with all of these people, is that I always give first. Like my friend Matthew, who I have the books here. At the beginning of every year, I still buy 1,000 of his books to give away for free. I send them to schools. Why? Because I said, "Matthew, I believe in what you believe. I believe the words you write. And I will buy your books and give them to the world for people who can't afford to buy them." And that inspired him to spend time with me. And we become best friends. And I do this at the beginning of every single year. So you have to think, what are you willing to give up and sacrifice to spend time with these amazing people? And please, there's this mindset in Adelaide that, "Oh, because I'm from Adelaide, I'm not going to do anything great." That's not true. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what your background. It doesn't matter what your history. None of that has anything to do with your future. Your future is up to you. I used to believe that and I never reached out, but if I never reached out to these people, I would have never learnt the lessons to be where I am today. Find teachers. Stop doing life on your own. My dad's my mentor when it comes to parenting. My dad teaches me how to be a better dad. My mum teaches me how to be a better parent. So my friends, make sure you find teachers in life. Don't try to do it all yourself. If you're bad at finance, find a teacher in finance. Right? Whatever you're bad at, find a teacher in that area. Great. That's all I had prepared for today. So please, thank you for clapping. That's lovely. Thank you. Thank you very much. And look, my friends, I'm so sorry I didn't prepare anything more formal and more entertaining for you all. But please, if you've got any questions, we've got about 20 minutes left before I go home to set up my house for my son's first birthday tomorrow. Oh, there's a gentleman there. Oh, lovely. Danny. Yes. There you go. It's on.
So we've heard the story about how you managed to get Matthew's attention by buying 1,000 books.
Yeah.
But you have all these other teachers. What did you offer them?
Yeah, okay. So, let me see if I can find it. So this is Adam, right? Now, I'm very insane. And I think that is, let me try to find this. And I knew that, let me have a look here, let me just go, and I'll show you because this is how crazy I am. Now by kind, and look for video. I hope I don't have any of my naked pictures of me on here. It'd be bloody awkward if I did. No, I'm kidding. No. Video for Noah. Let me just look for this. Noah. For Noah, here we go. That's audio wave. Sorry, I really want to find this for you. Is there Wi-Fi here? Do you know if there's Wi-Fi? Is there? Anyway, okay, I'll tell you. So Adam has a son. And his son was about to come to Australia on exchange. to go and be exchanged in Australia. And I saw Adam tweet about it on Twitter. So I saw that. And I knew that the son was going to come to Australia by himself. Adam is a multi-billionaire. Sending his son by himself, I know that Adam was going to be very scared. So then, I did something illegal. I took a camera and I flew to the Sydney airport, and when I went through the International Sydney Customs, I wore a camera on my shoulder. So I filmed the moment Adam's son gets off a plane, exactly where he has to go and what he has to do, and sent the video to Adam for his son. And I did the whole thing, and I sent it to Adam, and I even got the custom form, filled it out for him, saying that these are the things you have to do, and both sides filled out. And I said, Adam, I know you're worried. Adam, I know you're really stressed, but this is a small thing I can do to ease your mind as a parent. I'm about to become a dad myself, and I hope this helps. And he was like, who the hell are you? He's like, I'm Vinh, and I really want to speak with you, by the way, if you ever have time. And I've got the video. I'm sorry, I want to show, because it's, oh yeah, if you don't mind, thank you, and I'll share with you. Because I want to show you that if you want to get these people's attention, they don't need your money. They don't want your money. Well, Sandra wanted my money, but that's fine. But they don't want your money. They want your love. Successful people are very lonely. People at the top are very lonely because everyone who talks to them wants their money. Everyone wants a bit of their money. They don't find true friendships. They don't find true connections. So that's what I realized, that that's how I got their attention. And so the formula is, how do you do this? You have to care enough about that person to spend enough time researching what their goals are in life and what their pains are in life. And it took a lot of time, because I wanted to meet Adam for a long time, but that was the opportunity that I got. So let me quickly share this with you. Oh, did it connect? Thank you very much for that. Adam Chaya, CH. I think it was Viv. Anything, here we go. This is literally the video.
You're going to see these little blue machines that you see here that I'm lining up for. And basically, a little blue machine where you put the passport in the check. You can use your American passport, you stick it in, and it sticks out a little blue and white. And I think it's very important because if you avoid the long lines like this, you want to line up for them before you can get customers. And then after getting the blue ticket, you walk through the duty-free area, all the stuff, you can buy something there, you can buy something you like. But after you've bought stuff, or you walk through the duty-free area, you now line up to stick the new ticket you got before the new blue and white ticket into a smart range, which has a face detection machine. This way again,
Anyway, you can stop that now. Anyway, you can stop that. That's fine. But you see, this touches people's hearts. And most of the time, do you know what people do when they want a mentor? They send you an email and they go, can I have some time? It doesn't cut it. And if that person has time that you're asking for, they're probably not the best mentor in the world. To find the best mentors in the world, you have to care more than the average person. And I really wanted you all to get the extent of this, because the first thing is, not only is it possible for you to have any teacher you want in the world, the crazy thing is, I wanted to meet David Copperfield. I really did. And I wanted to spend time with him. I wanted to make sure that I could at least have a 5-6 hour conversation with him. I thought it was impossible. My whole life, I thought it was impossible. But again, you care enough, you do the right things. I spent time with David. And he took me to his magic museum, and he showed me around his magic museum all night, till 4 in the morning. And I mean, this is a secret, I didn't put it on there, but again, this is one of the best speakers in the US, Mel Robbins. I wanted to build a speaking career in the US. I sought her out. Again, and how did I get her attention? I ordered, so she loves chocolate. So I bought her about $500 of Australian chocolates, all unique from Australia, and I got them custom made with her names on it. So even Tim Tam had her name on it. You know, it was called, like, you know, Mel Tams. It was like just stupid. But I had this incredible, I had this whole box and I sent it to her. And again, we've started to become good friends. So I'm telling you, I do this in my life over and over again. By myself, yes, I'm nothing. But with these people, I'm something more valuable. I'm something more important because of the lessons they share with me. It's not me that's great. It's the lessons that I've learned from these people that are great. And I think that is a very important distinction to make, is that don't just think because, oh, I'm from Adelaide, I'm never going to become anyone great in this world. Because that's you lying to yourself. It's not true. Okay, so my friends, I urge you to find teachers. I urge you to continue this journey of learning. And don't fall into that trap where you're like, no, I'm smart enough. I don't need teachers, I'm smart. No, you're not. You're not smarter than all the teachers combined, no way. Yes, Hai Kiao, yeah.
It's great to hear your story about finding teachers.
Yeah.
I just want to understand about the importance of finding teachers, but can you share with us why are you here today? As in being a teacher yourself and sharing your story, why is it important to do that?
Because this makes me happy. I've been okay. I'm doing well in life. Financially stable, but money doesn't bring me happiness. Giving to others makes me feel happy. And my dad, again, my mum and my dad taught me this too. My dad said that, and my mum said that, the amount of happiness you feel in your life is dependent on how big your heart is. Now, son, if you just love mum and dad, you've got a very small heart. So your happiness in life is very small. And how could you be motivated, son? Because if you're just doing everything in life for mum and dad, that's 2 people you have to take care of. That's easy. You need to grow your heart. The more people you love, the bigger your heart becomes, and the more love that you feel. Did I break this? Oh, it's back. It's back. Okay, thank you. Sorry. So he said to me, Vin, you have to grow your heart. And this is me growing my heart, because it's very easy for me to not think about all of you. Trust me, it's easy. It's easy for me to not care about you. It's hard for me to be here. I'm only here for 10 days. I don't know many of you personally. I don't know you. But the act of doing something that grows my heart brings me more happiness. But this is still hard for me. I'm young. Trust me, I'm a selfish bastard. I am. But I'm trying to grow my heart so I can experience more happiness in my life. Yeah, so thank you. So that's why I'm here. And I hope I encourage you all to do the same. Is that if you don't feel good, just go do something for someone else. You'll be surprised how much better it makes you feel. So, yes. And thank you for such lovely questions.
We need to share the mic for time.
Oh, yes.
Share the mic.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Really awesome story about how to get mentors.
Awesome.
So once you have that time set aside to talk,
Yeah, okay, this is good.
you make sure that you're not, wasting time on theirs,
Yeah.
being efficient or effective,
Yep.
or do you just hang out with them?
No.
How do you go about that?
Love it. And thank you for, sorry, I should just get it. You know, there's a really cheesy line in martial arts, right? And the line is, when the student is ready, the master will appear. What's that line about? Clarity. Don't sit with these people if you don't know what you want. So there was a property investor here in South Australia. I don't have to mention who it is. I worked really hard to get a meeting with him. It was at George's, at a restaurant in the city in Adelaide. I was there 30 minutes early. I want to make sure I got his, there early, I'm there on time. He comes in and he says, so Vin, great to meet you. What would you like to know? How can I help? My first question was, hi, what are the top 3 things I should do to improve my life? So he stood up and he said, I need to do this, Vin. It will seem harsh, but I need to do this. I'm going to leave now because you're wasting my time. And he left. And I felt like I was being stood up. I was crushed by that. I was like, I worked so hard to get your attention. I finally got 30 minutes of your time and you just left? And he said, yes. And I learned a lesson. If I don't know what I want from that person, I'm wasting their time. So when I sat down with Mel, when I sat down with David, when I sat down with all these people, I knew exactly what I was after. And remember, I've earned that time though. But again, don't waste that time by asking a silly question. And it means you have to have done your research. the question you ask shows them the depths of who you are. It reveals to them who you really are. And if you ask the right questions, they may just fall in love with you as a student. Yeah, so I think that's... And here's the biggest mistake we tend to make as well. I make this mistake as well. Do you know who we find as mentors? We find the richest person. Don't do that. I know a lot of rich people who are very sad. Yeah. Find someone who's not material, like it's not about wealth. It's about what you want in your life. So when you know what you want to do, that's how you find your teachers. Don't just go, who am I? Let me just try to find the wealthiest person I know in my network. That's the wrong thing to do, man. It's the wrong thing to do. So, good question. Thank you. I hope that helps. And one more question before it's 11:30, and we'll call it a day. We can squeeze one more out. Yeah, please. Yeah. No worries.
Recently, I opened up about my story, and so basically what you just said basically reinforces how I felt for the past a long time.
Yeah.
My mother hugged me for the first time over 22 years.
Jeez.
And I mean, she didn't have to say anything, and I knew that she loved me. I've got the same story as you, and I'm starting up a new business, not because it's for money. I had money, so it's not for that. And I get what you're saying, and I felt ashamed for the last, 40 years of being Vietnamese. And it wasn't until recently that I felt everything had purpose, and every mistake that I had has purpose, and it's made me who I am.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you, because you just reinforced everything that I've shared recently in my life.
Wow, thank you. Can we give a round of applause? I think that's awesome. Yeah. And I guess what we end on as well, and thank you for sharing that. I think does everyone know the song in Vietnamese, Long Mare? Every time I listen to that song, it makes me cry. And it makes me cry because there's no greater love in this world that I've ever experienced than the love from a Vietnamese mum. Not to say that other mums don't love their children, but there's a deep love that comes from a mother who escaped the war, and whether you're a child or you're a mother in this room, please take the time to open up to your children emotionally. We love you, and we want to know that you love us too. And I know these emotions are sometimes very difficult for us to express in our community. But I believe that needs to change. Because that love is what's going to help us as children flourish. And, I just think that it's one thing for us to be able to improve in our lives, is to be more open emotionally with our family, to talk about the difficult situations that we may be experiencing in life, and to not hold all of it in. Because I know there are a lot of Vietnamese families that suffer because we hold so much pain in and we don't talk about it with love. So I want to encourage you all on that. And on that note, that's my son right there. Yay! Xander! Hey, buddy! Oh, my goodness. Xander, right here. Xander here, Dad. Xander! Hey, buddy! Hey, what's up, buddy? It's Dad! Hey, oh, I love you, man. I love you, buddy. I'll come see you in a second. It's okay. He's getting scared now. But look, I am where I am today. My mum's right there. I am where I am today because of that lady. And I will be where I am in the future because not only my mum now, but my son as well. Family is everything. I've shared with you what I could in a short time, and I'll be back again later this year, and I hope to help the Vietnamese community as much as I can, open up our hearts, open up our minds, about what's possible for all of us in the future. I believe in our community, I believe in our people, and I'll be here to support our people. Thanks.
Thank you so much for your time. Like you said, you were preparing for your son's first. Arriving here for a long hour flight yesterday and coming here to, taking some of your family time out today with everyone here and sharing your very inspiring words and all that too. So,
thank you.
like Vin said, we will be back in Adelaide again. So, guys, we recently had a youth Facebook page for Vin's Community. So we will have updates on upcoming events, and especially when Vin will come back down here again. So please keep an eye out, and hopefully we'll be able to organise a mission next time for you.
No, this is great. This has been awesome.
Thank you so much, guys. Like Vin said, here there are books here to be read today. So please take one home, read it. Hopefully next time when Bill comes back and that you guys are here and you're able to share something that you've taken away and that you've made it a successful. Thank you.
All right, I'll pack my stuff up. Thanks, everyone. Quickly pack this up. Thank you.